What's up, rock and rollers, and welcome to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast, where we geek out on all things rock and roll. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Leave us your likes and comments. You can also leave likes and comments on our Facebook page. Follow us on iTunes and Spotify. Also Instagram at talklouder_podcast. And, of course, our website, talklouderpodcast.com. I'm Metal Dave, along with my co-host Jason McMaster. And today we have with us the singer for LA Guns, Mr. Phil Lewis, is joining us. Phil and the boys have a new album called Checkered Past coming out November 12th, I believe. And if you've been following along with LA Guns, in my opinion, they've been putting out some of the best work of their career. This new album follows in the footsteps of The Missing Piece that came out in 2017 and The Devil You Know, which came out in 2019. In my opinion, albums that rival their classic albums from back in the late 80s, early 90s. But we'll get to talk to Phil and talk about the making of this record, talk about a few other things. I'm not sure how much time he's going to give us today. He's a busy man, but we'll take all we can get from Mr. Phil Lewis.
So
all right, we've got him looking good and we've got him sounding good. There he is. There he is, Phil Lewis. Phil, thanks for joining us today. I'm not sure how much time we have. And
you got all the time in the world, buddy. This is the last one for today. And I'm sorry I kept you waiting, but, you know, I'm doing 5 a day and it overlapped a little bit. So I appreciate your patience. Don't worry about it. I'm talking to 2 friends, so in no hurry at all.
We like the way that sounds.
We'll like the way that sounds, yeah. Well, first of all, Phil, let me start by saying congratulations on the Checkered Past record. It's a great new record. I don't know if I can divulge this or not, but I'm going to. I've had a secret copy for a number of months.
Right.
And I was sworn to secrecy, and I honored that commitment. But I've been listening to it myself, and it's another great in the line of, it's now number 3 from you and Tracii and Johnny Martin.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, first of all, I want to be very honest here. Did you honestly think you would be on album number 3 with such great results with your former partner and sometimes nemesis, Tracii Guns? Because you guys are batting 1,000.
Sure, man. And you know, that's why the album title is so it makes sense. It's because, you know, we've had this. It's no secret. We had a long estrangement, a 15-year estrangement, and I just feel that we buried the hatchet, and you know, these things after 15 years, you manifest. You know, I thought he was like the devil, you know, and when after 15 years we finally got together, we were just hanging out in a dressing room backstage, and it was just like a couple of kids, couple of guys, you know, and all that sort of animosity and angst and in many ways fear, you know, it just dissolved instantly, and you know, we both grown up a lot. We both matured, and he just seemed like a much better person than the person that I just had to like close the file on.
Do you think it was? Do you think it was something as simple as you needed a break? I mean, do you feel like you were going strong, and then something weird?
You know, I'll tell you what happened, and it, you know, it's painful, but you know, we recorded an album called what was it? The not Vicious Circle, Hellraiser's Ball.
Waking the Dead or Man in the Moon?
Yeah. No, Waking the Dead. Thanks.
Waking the Dead. Yeah.
We recorded Waking the Dead. Now, Man in the Moon was okay. It was, you know, there are a couple of moments on there that are good, but I really felt like Waking the Dead, we'd really found, we got back our groove. We got back the whole vibe of what we were doing. And that's when he decided, you know, right before we were going to go on tour, to quit the band and fuck off and do something with Nikki Sixx. And it didn't make any sense because Nicky wasn't about to give up Motley Crue. It was just a side project for him. But for some reason, Tracii felt like he had to throw himself on the sword and give up his own band. And it was just too much to take. I just like, I can't work with this. This is it. I'm done. And I think that's a pretty good reason. Yeah. To not talk to somebody, but it's not a good enough reason to not talk to somebody for 15 years. Yeah. That's a bit excessive. And I tell you the thing about Tracii. I've worked with lots of guitar players, hundreds, but never a guitar player that brings out the best, makes me work my hardest, come up with the very best that I've got, because he's always really, he doesn't give me any old shit. He gives me the very best that he's got. So we've always had that. We've never sold ourselves short. We never did anything, for the wrong reasons. We never tried to write a hit or anything. Just, tried to just do the best that we can do in what we do. And I miss that. And that was great getting back in the studio, working on Missing Piece, to have that. It's really inspiring. It's a bit scary. It's a little bit scary because, because it takes you out your comfort zone. But yeah, so far we're 5 years into it and it's working out great.
It really is. I think there's a lot of skeptics that might have said, they're going to get together for this one album and then all the old anger is going to come to the surface and it's going to fall apart. But you've proved them wrong. You're on album number 3. And I think the fact that you're on album number 3 and you're having such positive results speaks volumes to your partnership and your creativity. And as you said, your maturity. We're all older and wiser, let's face it. And I don't know. I've just been really impressed with the last 3 albums, and I think Checkered Past is a nice third step in that sequence.
Thank you. I agree. I think it's been a remarkable development, and I always have this boyish enthusiasm before every I always feel that this is the best one we've ever done, and this one's going to change everything. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel that way about this one. I really do. I know it's not going to sell millions of copies, and
sure.
And it's sad that we're making an album and 70% of it will never be played live because it's important for us to play songs that people recognize. So yeah, it's a bittersweet thing, but I love it, and I love this. I love the feedback from my peers that are going, "Yeah, Phil, you guys nailed it." That's better than money, that's better than fucking gold records or any of that. This to me is one of the big paybacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jason could relate to that. We were just talking before you got online about, the possibility of maybe a new Dangerous Toys record somewhere down the road.
Great. Great. Let's put the tour back together again, yeah. Jason. Let's get back out there.
Let's get Tora and Dangerous Toys and LA Guns back on the road again.
I'm in. I'd love to.
Cocked and Loaded 2012.
That's right.
2015, 17. Go.
So Jason, you can relate to that, right?
I think that the thing we were talking about before we hit record and before you came into the room was, doesn't matter to me if anyone else likes the record. I care that they do, and I want to write songs for you and everybody to enjoy, because you guys have, we're all lifers here. This is what we do, and we're all in a tribe together, and this is what we do. But the most important thing is that your tribe understands the language that you're speaking all the time. As soon as you start talking different or funny, they're like, what's happening? What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So I think that back to you and Tracii, you guys write great songs together. So you've worked with hundreds of guitar players. I don't want you to put them on any kind of, grading system, but when something's not broken and then you have to take a break from that, with your hiatus with him as your writing partner, it is great that the things that you're known for, the great things that sort of like blew up in the world's face that were great. And I'm talking about the first couple of records that you guys made together with that lineup. There's something special about that. So if you can get any of that going, that's great, but it shouldn't be limited to that. And I
agree.
Feel,
yeah.
And
I feel like this is two bands. I feel like this is LA Guns 2.0. And what we did, last century is fantastic, and I'm proud of it. And it served us well. I'm not remotely embarrassed or ashamed of it. But you don't want to hear a guy in his 60s singing about I'm a sex gun lover in the heat of the night.
Right.
I don't know, man. Last time I was at your gig, there was plenty of people there that wanted to hear it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like playing it, and I like to give them what they want. But it's matured. We both matured as writers. And he came a long way in those 15 years, and it's just apparent. It's obvious. It's what people want. People want us to be together. Yeah. They like us individually, but I think, as Jason described, it is a tribe, and our tribe likes it. It likes to have that. It's very solid. There's something about him and I being together. It's like Slash and Axl. Everybody loves Slash and Axl doing their own thing, but really, we want them to be together. It's iconic.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the same thing with me and Tracii.
Mick and Keith. It goes,
Mick and Keith.
It goes and goes.
Joe,
and goes.
Stephen and Joe, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey. Yeah. It just goes on and on. There's this nucleus, and we've never ever seen eye to eye. We've always there's been a little bit of a clash, a little bit of a he's giving me this fantastic lick, so I'm going to have to come up with something better than I've ever done before. And we, as I said, we push each other, pushes me real hard. But yeah, I think that's what people want, and ultimately, I felt that as soon as we got back together, it just felt right, like an old pair of shoes. And yeah, we managed to keep it going for 5 years, because we didn't know how long it would last. It could blow up in 6 months.
Right.
But we know each other well enough now to respect each other's boundaries.
Sure. Yeah. So before we get into the specifics of the new album, I want to talk a little bit about Johnny Martin, because Johnny's been the one guy who's along with you and Tracii, who's been along for all 3 albums now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my feeling is I joined Johnny's band, when I came back, and I always tell Johnny that, because I did. Tracii invited me to come and jam with his band, and Shane was playing drums. He had quite a different lineup, but Johnny was on bass, and Johnny was very, very cool about me coming back, and encouraged it, and was enthusiastic and excited about it. And he's been a good guy, and he's been a great guy. He's great on the road. He's a really good guy to have on the road, and musically contributing. I mean, a lot of stuff. He came up with the riff for Cannonball. So yeah, he's by no means a hired gun.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to get. That's what I was getting at. He's been with you now, you and Tracii now, for the past 3 albums. There's a reason for that. And and
I'd be gutted if he wasn't. If he threw in the towel and moved on. We could get a deal with it, move on. But I'm so glad that he hasn't. I'm so glad that he's happy, because a lot of people want him. He's turned down a lot of offers for sort of more sort of new wave stuff. And, he was actually out on the road with Tiffany earlier this year. It's funny, him and Scott Coogan, basically LA Guns. She poached our band, because she's always at our shows. And that's cool. We weren't doing anything anyway. So, Johnny's a very integral part of this.
What does he bring in terms of songwriting? He's a great performer, and you mentioned his personality. It gels with you guys on the road when you live in such close quarters while you're traveling around the country.
Yeah.
But tell the audience, what does he bring in a more behind-the-scenes capacity in terms of song contribution?
Well, I mean, he's always the first guy to come up with, like embellishing stuff, like coming up with keyboard parts or, just always got an idea. He's never short of an idea, and he's not scared to come up with an idea. And sometimes it works great, and other times it not so well. So that for me is I feel like he's a partner as much as a member.
Yeah.
And he wasn't around in Mark 1. He would have been in diapers, I suppose. But
still is, I think.
Yeah.
At least he acts like it.
But yeah, I mean, he's just got a tremendous spirit, and I just love having him around. I like that. He's just a good guy. He's always great. He's just even keeled.
I've known him for a number of years. I met him when he was playing for bass for Jesse Malin, and I always liked him as a person. And when he teamed up with you guys, I was thrilled. And I'm just glad to see that he's been able to stay with you this long and be part of the success. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. So you mentioned last time I interviewed you, you were promoting The Devil You Know, and I was making the point at that time that album came out really fast after The Missing Piece. And you were telling me that that's because you guys were comfortable writing on the road, and you're a band that was, able to do that. So you were out touring, you were basically putting this record together, and before you know it, you had an album. Now, moving forward to Checkered Past, obviously you weren't on the road because of the pandemic and that sort of thing. So, and I know that there was some logistics that came into play with getting this album done. So how did the pandemic impact what would normally be your chemistry of writing on the road, since you could?
Well, yeah, we had to, reinvent the wheel basically, because as Jason will tell you, when an album's being put together, it's a bunch of guys working on songs in a room, hashing it out, tweaking the chorus, do we put a bridge here, a middle eight, all that stuff is sorted out before you record a single note. So you go into the studio prepared. This was completely ass backwards. Everything was written. It was all done by the time it landed on my doorstep or in my email. So, in many ways, the last two, they kind of focus on the music. I don't have much to do. I leave all that music to Tracii now. He's just, I'd much rather he focus on and play the songs that I don't want to, I can write songs, I can, but they're real basic compared to what he's coming up with. And I just want him to, do what he does. It's like, I don't really want him getting involved lyrically either, we do what we do best. And we, as I said, going back to the boundaries. So yeah, everything was completely backwards this time. So I was basically handed a finished product, which, that's happened before. And generally I'll have to fly out to New York to work with Mitch Davis in his studio. Mitch he's a vocal guy. He knows, he's really good at, picking the right effects and compiling. I'll do 10 takes of a chorus, and he can break it down to words or even syllables. And he's really good at that. And I trust him doing that. And then normally in the old days, I'd have 3 days in New York to do an album's worth of vocals. And that's not a lot of time, especially when you're doing like each song, like 8, 10 times, 12 times to get the best takes. And you're doing 4 songs a day. That's fucking tiring.
Yeah.
That's 4 sets.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're knowing full well that you've got to go in the next day and do 4 more.
Right.
It's fucking terrifying because you
got to
push
do breakfast, you got to do lunch, do a second breakfast. You got to do
right, and you can't blow your voice out, Jason. You can't, you can't give it all until you got to the last day. So you've got to be sparing, and you've got to go. Okay, you've got to know when to stop, and come in the next day and pick it up, and hopefully your voice isn't too shot from the night before. So this way, doing it remotely in my own place, and nothing fancy either, just a laptop and your basic Focusrite Scarlett 2-channel interface. I've got no compressors. I've got no fucking fancy preamps. I don't have an expensive Neumann microphone. It's just to be a basic entry-level recording setup, and it worked. It works, and because I can send the file. I don't have any effects when I do these songs. It's completely dry, and I send it over to Mitch, and he adds all the effects and all the special magic, stuff that he does. Yeah. And it comes back great. And that's a good team we've got going there. So Mitch is kind of like the invisible member. Yeah. And so is Adam, of course. And the thing with doing it remotely is we lost our drummer, Scott, because Adam played the drums on the new record because Scott wasn't in a position. He doesn't have a studio set up for his drums, as Adam does. Right. And that was just one of the things we had to take that because that's all we had. There was, we know Adam, and we trust him as a drummer and a producer. Yeah. So I can understand Scotty not being thrilled to play somebody else's album. Right. But it's a amicable split, and I don't see why he couldn't come back down the road even next year. If things are right, and he feels good about it. I'd love to have him back.
Yeah, and for those who are listening who might not know, Adam, the Adam that you speak of is Adam Hamilton.
Indeed,
who we've had as a guest on this podcast. Another guy that I've known for a number of years. Great guy, super talented. It's like I don't know if there's any end to his musical ability.
No, I mean he's been he was a bass player in LA Guns for something like 3 or 4 years.
That's where I met him.
And he's been LA Guns rhythm guitar player.
Yes.
And now he's LA Guns drummer. I mean, shit, I'm lucky he doesn't sing.
Or does he?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean, he wouldn't be, he'd probably,
Phil, I have something to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not,
no, he doesn't, he doesn't, he's okay.
He's not the front man for LA Guns. You are.
That's right. I mean, he's good, backing vocalist and all of that, but I don't think of all his skills. He put vocals, lead vocals as high on the list.
Yeah. I really like that guy.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy to have around, he's a warrior, a good guy to have in the trenches.
Yeah. And since we're talking about Adam and Scott, Adam played drums on the new album because Scott wasn't available for one reason or another. And now the news just came out yesterday that Scott is at least temporarily no longer in the band, and your previous drummer Shane Fitzgibbons is coming back. Is that where we are at the moment?
That's correct, and that's a temporary solution. Shane isn't coming back permanently. We've got some shows to do in and around LA when the record drops, and he stepped up and said he'll come back and help us out with those. He works for Kanye West now. So he's Kanye's chief engineer. Oh. So that's why he left in the first place. But Kanye's just finished his record, put it out, or Ye put his record out, and he's been very cool. He's not only fine with Shane moonlighting and coming back and playing the rock, but he's actually offered facilities for us to play and rehearse in, which I think is very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
big.
Yeah. And that also tells you a lot about Shane, what an easygoing guy he is. It's chemistry is, it's not all about chops. You can have somebody, just a total virtuoso, somebody like Yngwie Malmsteen, but I bet he's no fun on a bus.
Probably not.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure he has his moments, but yeah, that's an important factor when you're picking personnel for a band, is how you're going to get on with them in the submarine.
Well, I was happy that he was available to come back, even if temporarily, because he did a great job on The Missing Piece and The Devil You Know, and then the times that I saw him live, he played well. And
yeah,
so,
the drums are fantastic on this record. They're you can't knock them. I think the production on this one is actually better than the two previous ones. And I think Adam's got a lot, not only just to the drums, but as I said, he was kind of like the compiler of files and put it all together and made it sound cohesive. And it sounds like an album. It does sound like a band in a room, which is remarkable considering it's the furthest thing from it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the album for a minute. The album has got plenty of the classic LA Guns sounds in terms of the rock and roll tunes. You've got Cannonball, of course. Living Right Now. I love that song.
That's
Dog.
my favorite song. Yeah, I love Dog too.
Dog is great. Knock Me Down, I love. But I'll tell you, Phil, it's like I listen to the record, and on any given day, my favorite songs are the slow ones. And LA Guns has always had a great knack for the slow songs. And I'm not going to use the word ballad because I think that implies something cheesy or something.
That's just that's just the term that we use. But I get it. Yeah, and if I'm describing it, I would use the same word for people that maybe aren't as hip to music as we are. Right. That's a fair enough explanation. Well, David, the thing is we're older now, and I think that our priorities change, and I love the rockers, the Cannonball and Living Right Now.
Yeah.
But I really feel that I can put a completely new persona in something like "I'ma Let You Down," or even "Get Along," just I'm singing in a much lower register now than before. I've still got a good voice. I've still got the highs, but I tend to focus more on the mid to the lower stuff that I've never really utilized. I've never, to the degree that I have on this record. And I've got to give credit to Mitch Davis for bringing that out in me, to finding a voice that I really didn't know that I had.
Yeah.
He managed to extract and thanks a lot. It's good to have we're a multifaceted band. There are bands that are really good at that one thing. AC/DC, Motorhead. They do that one thing. They do it well. They do it superbly, and that's kind of their shtick. Ours, we've always been more sort of Cheap Trick, sort of Led Zeppelin influence. But there's plenty of AC/DC in this record too, riff wise.
Sure.
It's just a very good mix of styles and personalities.
On any given day when I'm listening to it, I think my favorite song could be either Let You Down, or I think If It's Over Now, it might be one of the best LA Gun songs in recent memory. I love that song.
I'm getting that from a lot of people.
It's the drama. It's got drama to it.
It's got drama to it. I think that here's the thing about that song. It took me a long time to get it right. Because I was singing it. I'll give an example. Like I got the chorus, if it's over, it goes, if it's over now. I was singing, if it's over now, where do we go? I was doing this 2-note thing, go, ooh, and it fucked up the song. It took away from it, and it was a natural thing to do. And Mitch is like, no, don't do the 2-note. Just go, if it's over now, tell me I'm fine. Instead of fine. And I really need to have, I really appreciate having another vocalist help me and stuff like that. And that fix, he saved that song because it was corny with that 2-note. And now it sits great in the track.
There's a lot to be said about economy, you know, just snipping that little bit, like you just said, and it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah,
yeah. Probably added more, even more emotional. Well, obviously it did, because you're proud of it, and you feel renewed about it, just because it turned a thing that you didn't even realize you were uncomfortable about until he suggested that you add some negative space there.
Yeah, it was bugging me, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And he goes, "Well, yeah, try this." And immediately, all of a sudden, it made perfect sense.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about Get Along, because that's a little bit of a departure for LA Guns. Not major, but it sounds like you guys were branching out a little bit, having some fun with that, and trying some different textures. And
as we do, you know, Ballad of Jane. I think it's fair to say would be a rock country crossover. And this song Get Along is definitely a rock folk hybrid. And I think it comes back to our adoration of Led Zeppelin, and I think it became apparent. I felt like in many ways it was like something that might have been on Led Zeppelin 3, you know, with that hangman, with the gallows pole kind of a vibe, you know, a very folky vibe.
Yeah.
And just singing it low, you know, and not trying to make it sound too symphonic or try and do something that didn't suit it. And it's just an easygoing, natural song. I like to play and sing at the same time. And we're going to be putting that in the set, and it's going to be an encore. Will come back out fresh, you know, and come out, you know, with our acoustic guitars and play it. And it'll be a nice contrast, because at that point, hopefully, would have blown the roof off the joint and come back out with a different angle, different side to us.
One of the things I just want to add one more thing about the slower songs. I love the atmosphere and the haunting vibe. You guys kind of have this quality where, and even going back to Missing Piece, The Flood's the Fault of the Rain.
Yeah.
The Devil You Know Had Another Season in Hell. I mean, these are great songs, and they're orchestrated very well, and they create a mood. To me, they're very. The word haunting always comes to mind when I think of those.
Spacious.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think they have a lot of space. You know, like that intro to "I'm Gonna Let You Down." It just goes on, and you're like, "Where's this going?" And it boom, boom, boom. You know, those notes. Yeah. And you're like, all right, okay. And then it does it again. And then boom, when it kicks in, you're ready. It's one of the greatest drops on the record, when that actually kicks in like that. And it's the whole band after that haunting, spacious, beautiful, melancholic beautiful guitar intro with that echo and just the tone of it. Yeah. So it's great playing with those dimensions.
I want to switch gears and bring Jason in. I want you guys to talk about the time you toured together when it was Dangerous Toys. We joked about this earlier, but what do you guys each remember about? It was Dangerous Toys, LA Guns, and Tora Tora, did you say?
Yeah.
I remember something really sweet. I'll just throw this out there. I don't know if Phil remembers this or not, but there was a couple of little things. It may have been on the same day. It was just back in the bowels of the theater we were playing at somewhere.
Right.
And you know, our record had just broke, and here we are in the middle of a run with you guys. And, you know, fan mail is stacking up. My voice is tiring because I'm still young, and I'm wearing myself out because I'm not sleeping very well, and blah blah blah.
Right.
So there was these conversations that you and I would have, you know, just a couple of times a week. You know, people think that we were just like, you know, burning cities down to the dust, and we were doing that with our songs. We weren't doing that like pirates, but although I would love to pillage with you one day, but
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, my point was about fan mail. It's like I mentioned it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, you make sure you answer every one of them." And it was like, I was like, "Well, that sounds like experience, and it sounds like value, and it sounds like just a smart decision by way of culture."
Yeah,
because you're keeping your culture. That person is never going to. You know, they're a fan, but they're a person. They're never going to forget that. Ever.
No, you know, and funny, Jason, because every now and then somebody will show up with the postcard. Yeah. And go, you sent me this to me, and I'm a big fan. You're my favorite band, and just little things like that. And you know, Jason, when you're on the road, there's a lot of downtime. You know, between shows, so there's no reason not to sit down and just write a couple of lines. And acknowledge it. And I had a postcard made up of you know, one of Maxine Miller's drawings of me. So it was, you know, the whole package. And I imagine that probably looked cool coming through somebody's mailbox.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, so, you know, people have brought them like they're bringing the crown jewels. Look at this. Yeah. Look at this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
hermetically sealed in plastic.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, fans are, you know, it's without them, there's nothing.
That's right. That's right. That was happening. I got quite a bit of that in my band previous to the Toys. And so I had that on some kind of level, and it was more of an underground level because it was a different kind of music and all that. But when it started to really stack and I couldn't get to it for whatever reason, it would come in a giant box from management company. So we're like, sure. What the hell are we going to do? You know, and you were like, make sure you get it all. Like you were the cool, the cool uncle going, man, don't, you missed a spot. Don't miss, you know, come on.
That's right.
And then and then I recall this. It was like it was yesterday too. I was a little wiped out. I still had some voice, but I was a little wiped out. And you were like, ginger root, you know, the old, you know, suck on some honey bears.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and ginger root, and you're going to be fine, and just don't overdo it. And that was, you know, that's the truth. You were just telling me the truth.
Well, so, you know, we're both power singers, both you and I. We certainly back then, I was in that time. Yeah. And you know, a lot of people can think they can make that sound, and they might be able to make that sound for a minute or two, but there's a big difference doing it for 60 or 90 minutes every night consecutively. So, you know, like you've done 8-9 shows in a row, haven't you? You know, you've done 30.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, with broken teeth. With broken teeth, yeah.
Then it's clearly I taught you well, because man, 30.
Oh, I was rotten about day. I'll tell you, it was about day 10.
Yeah,
I was rotten. I'm on the bus going, I can't even. Yeah, you know, I couldn't even talk.
Where does it come from? You know, when you get back out, and so all of a sudden you've got it back. But there's nothing worse than losing your voice on the road because you let your whole band down. You know, everything has to stop. You
feel handicapped for a moment.
And as you know, the voice takes like 2 or 3 days for it to come back, and you've got to be really strict about not talking. And it's terrifying. And it was on that tour that I lost it, because I didn't know. I mean, you know, the honeys and all that stuff, it's great, but what I didn't know is you got to warm up. I had no idea. I'd never really done proper warm-ups before. And once I learned that, I don't think I've ever missed a show since that. Do you do them? Do you do your warm-ups before you go? Or
sometimes, you know, I've been teaching for about 15 or 16 years now.
Oh, so yeah. I'll take some lessons.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm in.
I don't know if you were schooling me 32 years ago or whatever.
You're a born natural, man. You got the people, you know, your voice is legendary, you know, and
I appreciate that.
You would have fit, you know, when Axl stood in for Brian in AC/DC. I was rooting for you. I think you would have done a much better job personally.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge. Thanks. I by the way, I really do think Axl just kicked it in the ass, though.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I mean, he's.
No, I know
brilliant.
that. Yeah, he did such a good job. I feel like, and you hear it here first. I thought there's some live like iPhone footage on YouTube of Axl doing Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
And on the iPhone video,
yeah,
I'm hearing it loud and clear, and everyone should go check this out and decide for yourself. I think he sang it better than Brian did on the studio recording.
Axl's a singer, you know, and people that don't sing don't get it because, you know, they think he sounds nasally and, you know, and he has got that funny vibrato. Right. But he's a singer. And we're talking like 7 octaves. Yeah. He did that AC/DC stuff on his head. It was effortless for him. And you know, you can't help feeling bad for old Brian puffing around up there. You know, I've toured with him and, you know, after about the 3rd or 4th night, he's hurting, you know, and that's a tough gig for anyone, especially somebody at that age. But Axl just came in and nailed it.
Yeah, well, that shit was scary.
You could have done it too, though.
Well, thanks for saying that.
That's
but
high praise.
I feel like, you know, there was a good point that this little sort of like this conversation just about basic keeping your voice comes to mind when you're on day 9, 10, 11, 12, when you're doing a huge run of about 27 to 30 shows in a row.
Right, yeah.
And minimally like an hour and 10. You really have to, less is more. You have to know to start slow. Even your opening number has to be massive. It just has to be just a bullet for everyone's face. You know, bang. You just have to just murder everyone with the first song. Everybody knows that for a rock show.
Right, of course.
But you know, when you come out and you don't have anything and you've got this fear that you're going to let everybody down on that first thing. Yeah. Sure, it was a couple of rough and it was a little bit raunchy sounding, but out of nowhere, magically, you have, and it's adrenaline. I was going to say adrenaline. As long as you're,
I think so. Yeah.
You're hydrated,
you're excited. Yeah.
Went to bed early, hydrated because you knew you were losing it. That's something that you learn. That's
that's thing. Right. That's the difference between a seasoned player and a rookie.
Yeah.
Phil, I want to go back in time and talk a little bit about Girl.
Yeah.
One of I know that your band Girl toured with Ozzy Osbourne on the Blizzard of Oz tour. And I was curious to know, as someone who got to be up close and personal, what was your first impression of Randy Rhoads?
The first time I met him was at the Marquee Club. Girl were playing and we were headlining it, and Ozzy, Sharon, and Randy came to see us. And I remember, you know, I've known Ozzy a long time, so how you doing, blah, blah, and Sharon too. But I finally got to sit down and talk to this quiet guy, this little quiet, mousy, blonde guy. You know, I was like, hey, how's it going? And he goes, nice to meet you. He goes, hi, I'm Randy. And that's perfectly normal here. But in England, Randy means horny.
Right.
I'm a Randy motherfucker, you know? and so I burst out laughing. And I was like, well, what do you expect me to do about it? And he was like, You know, I'm laughing. And I had to explain to him, you know, the colloquial of what he just said. And once he was laughing his ass off. It's like, so you're saying I just came up to you and went, hi, I'm horny. And I was like, yeah. That's pretty much what you just said. And that's a charming story. And we hit it off. Ozzy's band was great. You know, I got on great with Tommy Aldridge. I always got on great with Rudy Zarzo. Good guys, and always really super supportive. Girl didn't come out on the Ozzy tour because I'd upset Sharon's dad, who was boss of our label, and so he put me on ice. And sent out another a real shit band he had on his label called Magnum that didn't do anything, and nobody really gave a fuck. And, you know, I should have got over it, and I should have been a bit more hands-on and made sure, demanded we do that tour. Because I think Girl would have cleaned up, and I think that would have been a great way to introduce us to the States.
Did the tour? Oh, in the States. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did all the English shows,
okay,
and they always went down great.
Gotcha.
But no, he clipped us for America because at that point the honeymoon was over. Well, it was all to do with the new wave of British heavy metal, you know, and Girl may be a lot of things, but we were never really heavy metal.
Right.
And you know, he was just transfixed on us reinventing ourselves as a Doom, Venom type praying mantis band, and we just simply weren't that. You know, we were glamours. You know, we that's what we did. You know, and so at that point, it was pretty clear that the honeymoon was over. You know, bands like Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, they've been together for so long. I think of them like in a literary term. If they were books, there'd be like a 4-book set. And when I think of Girl, I think it's like a 1-page poem. In comparison, and it was never meant to be that long and last that long, and I'm, in many ways I'm kind of glad that Girl weren't so successful that it would make it difficult for me to go into something else and not be known from that. Now people know me from Girl because, you know, it was an underground band that people, if you were into that. But as far as most people are concerned in the States, LA Guns was my first band.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very cool moment in your history, as well as just you know, early English rock, late 70s, early 80s, and I think that I'm just trying to say I'm really glad that Girl happened.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And yeah, it was a sweet thing, and you know, I gotta say, we got a lot of stick. You know, the English fans, the new wave of British heavy metalers, they weren't enamored by the name of the band or the way we looked, and yeah, they were assholes at times, you know, and you know, even if even Def Leppard got it, you know, they thought Def Leppard were effeminate, and so, you know, they hated it, and many of the diehard, you know, like rivet spitters weren't enamored. And it's funny though, as time, you know, I talk to people now, and then they talk about, you know, the girls' shows that they saw, and it's like, are you sure? Because everyone else in the room seemed to hate us. So I don't know if they've forgotten or their attitude has softened since then. But it was tough. It was really fucking tough going out, especially with Kiss. You know, because the Kiss fans wanted nothing to do with it. They just, you know, because they waited in England, they waited so long to see Kiss that we were just in the way. We were wasting their time before they wanted to see their big, beautiful band. So that was a bad pairing. And Gene, I'm sorry, the phone keeps moving because of my bloody cat.
That's actually fine.
That's actually better. Yeah,
it's the cat.
Okay.
So yeah, and Gene had it in for me right from the get-go, because we did Do You Love Me? Yeah. And he goes, Philip, these songs are like our children. You cannot do it. And I was like, Gene, we only know 8 songs. You know, give us a break, man. We're only on stage for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and besides, you didn't write it anyway.
Yeah, that's a Kim Cali song.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm thinking that, but I'm like, don't say you're already in deep shit. Yeah. So yeah,
So
anyway, listen, I'm going to have to wrap it up in a minute.
Yeah,
that's fine. You've been gracious with your time.
Yeah, you've been great. Thank you for giving us all the extra time.
I like talking with you guys. You know, even when we hang, we talk. So it's like, this is no problem. And I'm glad you were the last one of the day, so I don't have anybody bugging the line.
I kind of did that on purpose. I was hoping you'd spend a few more minutes with us.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Thank you so much, Phil. Congratulations on another great album, and I hope that you'll be on the road in as soon as time allows, because we always look forward to seeing you live.
Right, yeah, and I can't wait to get back down there, get back to Austin. I've had so many good times in Austin, and you know, I lived there for a while, and it's got a special place in my heart, and it was
Austin
always so
embraced
acceptive.
you.
Yeah,
Austin,
you know,
Austin embraced you. Everybody here still talks about you. And
was it the back room? Was that venue just on the other side of the river? And then when I was there, I became like a staple at the Steamboat. I don't know if it's still there. It's probably gone. But it was great. I mean, that year that I was there, like 91 to 92, the music scene there was absolutely fantastic. It couldn't have been because I was so burnt out on the LA scene. So, you know, it was really great. And people like Jason and Kevin. Yep. Was it Kevin Fowler?
Kevin Fowler, correct.
Yeah, all those guys. You made me feel so welcome, and I love that, and I always appreciate it. So yeah, I'm so sorry it was you guys. It's a pleasant surprise seeing you too, Jason. I wasn't expecting that. It's always good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Good talking to you guys, and stay in touch, and I'll let you know as soon as we got Austin on the books. And did I mention that we're coming out in summer with Tom Kiefer?
No, that's excellent.
Oh, right. Yeah. We got a summer tour. It's a triple package. It's Faster Pussycat, LA Guns, and Tom Kiefer. So we're bound to hit Austin. So we'll see. I'll see you there.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Phil. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, our special guest today, Phil Lewis from LA Guns, generous with his time. Thank you so much, Phil. I'm Metal Dave Glessner. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Talk Louder podcast.
I love you guys. Thanks so much.